A marina mechanic in Central Florida pulled a fuel tank last spring out of a 4-year-old Robalo center console, 75-gallon aluminum tank. Boat kept on a lift. Owner did everything by the book. Regular oil changes, annual service, zinc and nodes, replaced on schedule. What nobody knew was that the fuel sitting inside that tank had been quietly eating the aluminum walls from the inside for 3 years. When the mechanic cut that tank open on the shop floor, the bottom was coated in a 1/4 inch of gray paste, corroded aluminum oxide mixed with phase-separated ethanol sludge. The pickup tube had a ring of white powder caked around the fitting. 2 of the 6 fuel injectors on the Yamaha 250 were completely fouled. The Raker fuel filter, changed just 80 hours earlier, looked like it had been dipped in mud. Total repair bill came to just over $9,000. The owner called his insurance company. They told him fuel system corrosion is classified as wear and tear, not covered. And that owner's situation is not unusual. It's happening right now on a predictable chemical timeline inside the fuel tank of almost every recreational boat in America running E10 gasoline. This is the ethanol rot trap. And by the time you notice the symptoms, the damage is already done. The chemistry behind this is not complicated, and that is what makes it so dangerous. Ethanol is hygroscopic. The hydroxyl group in the ethanol molecule attracts water from the surrounding air. Your boat's fuel tank is vented to the atmosphere by design, which means every humid day, every rainstorm, every temperature swing between night and morning is pumping microscopic water vapor into your fuel. A 10 gasoline can hold roughly 0.5% water by volume at 60 degrees before it reaches its limit. In a 20-gallon tank, that threshold is about 1.6 cups of water. That is a shockingly small amount when you consider that marine fuel tanks breathe humid salt air for months at a time. Once the water crosses that threshold, the ethanol stops bonding with the gasoline and bonds with the water instead. The fuel separates into 3 distinct layers. Ethanol-depleted gasoline floats on top, now running 2 to 3 octane points lower than what you paid for. A milky ethanol-water mixture settles in the middle, roughly 75% ethanol and 20% water. Pure water pools at the very bottom. Pay attention to this next detail because it explains everything about why this causes catastrophic engine failure. Your fuel pickup tube draws from the lowest point in the tank. The engine ingests the most corrosive, most water-saturated layer first. In a 2-stroke outboard, that ethanol-water mix strips the oil film off cylinder walls. In a 4-stroke, it creates a dangerously lean combustion condition with elevated temperatures that can crack exhaust valves and warp pistons. If the engine draws straight water, the piston rods can bend from hydrolock because water does not compress. Mercury Marine's official guidance says to remove all fuel if storing longer than 2 months. The general industry consensus puts the shelf life of E10 in a marine environment at 90 days maximum. Bell Performance's lab data backs that up, and marine mechanics on the Hull Truth Forum report seeing phase separation in as little as 15 days under worst-case humidity and temperature conditions. That is your fuel going bad on a clock. And no fuel additive on the shelf can reverse it once it happens. Not Startron, not sta-bil, not Seafoam. Seafoam's own website says it plainly. sta-bil's own technician confirmed it to Practical Sailor. Any product claiming to reverse phase separation is lying to you, but the fuel itself is only the first problem. The real horror show is what that ethanol-laced fuel does to the tank it sits in. Fiberglass fuel tanks built before the mid-1980s used orthophthalic polyester resin as their binding agent. Ethanol is a solvent. It dissolves that resin the same way paint thinner dissolves varnish. Boat US laboratory testing identified di-isooctyl phthalate as the primary compound being extracted from these tanks, and the physical evidence is ugly. Cut open a degraded fiberglass tank and the inner walls look like someone took a wire brush to them. White glass fibers exposed where resin used to be. A thick layer of dark brown to black sludge pooled at the bottom. A mix of dissolved polyester resin and fuel residue that smells like a chemical plant. And here is the part that makes this especially nasty. Those dissolved resin compounds pass straight through your fuel filter because they are in solution, not in particle form. They travel through the fuel lines, through the injectors, into the combustion chamber, where the heat recures them into a sticky black tar that physically cements your intake valves into their guides. Boat US documented bent push rods, scored pistons, and completely destroyed engines from this mechanism alone. And no, I'm not making that up. The list of affected brands reads like a who's who of American boat building. Hatteras, Bertram, Boston Whaler, Chris-Craft, Wellcraft, Sea Ray, Mako, Shamrock, Parker, Bayliner, Aquasport, Contender. Basically any boat with a fiberglass fuel tank from that era. Boat US estimated roughly 10,000 boats out of the 10 million plus registered in the US have fiberglass tanks susceptible to this exact failure mode. Replacing one in a typical 20 to 26 foot center console runs $3,700 to $8,000 for the tank alone. If the deck has to be cut open because the tank was foamed in place, and it usually was, you're looking at $10,000 or more. Now if you are thinking, well, my boat has an aluminum tank, so I'm safe. You are not. Aluminum suffers a different kind of attack, and about 4 million boats in the US have aluminum fuel tanks. Oak Ridge National Laboratory tested this extensively. Ethanol degrades the aluminum oxide layer that naturally protects the metal surface. Once that barrier is compromised, the raw aluminum underneath oxidizes rapidly, but the bigger threat is galvanic corrosion. Gasoline by itself does not conduct electricity. Ethanol water mixtures do. When you have an aluminum tank connected to brass fittings, copper fuel lines, and steel clamps, the conductive ethanol water solution turns your fuel system into a battery. Aluminum is the most reactive metal in that chain, so it corrodes as the sacrificial anode. ORNL testing on 1100 series aluminum alloy showed a clear progression. E0 fuel produced almost no corrosion. A 10 created multiple shallow attack areas across the surface. A 15 caused widespread overlapping corrosion. A 20 dissolved the entire protective layer at a uniform rate. And the most dangerous form, pitting corrosion, bores localized holes through the tank wall. Forum posts describe pea-sized holes and clusters of pinhole leaks through tank bottoms. I mean, think about that for a second. Your fuel tank is slowly developing holes from the inside, and you cannot see any of it happening. This is where the fuel filter becomes your early warning system, and most boat owners are ignoring it. Pull a raker spin-on element at 100 hours from a boat running clean fuel, and it looks light tan with minimal debris. Normal wear. Pull one at 200 to 300 hours or from an ethanol-compromised system, and the media is saturated dark brown to black with a gummy resinous coating. The water separator bowl shows a cloudy, milky layer that should not be there. Practical Sailor cut open more than 100 used marine fuel filters and ran chemical analysis on the trapped solids. What they found was not fuel contamination, it was the fuel system itself being digested. The solids contained 21% aluminum, 8% zinc, 10% calcium, and 5% iron. Those are the metals from the tank walls, the fittings, the filler neck, and the fuel rail being corroded away and caught in the filter element. A Raker S3-21310 micron element, costs about $40. A Mercury 3 5-802893Q01 water. Separating element runs about $14. These are the cheapest diagnostic tools you own, and they should be changed every 100 hours or annually, whichever comes first. When you switch from ethanol-free fuel to E10 for the first time, carry extra filters. Ethanol strips years of accumulated varnish and gum from the system and overwhelms filters rapidly. Some boaters report going through over a dozen elements during the transition. Everything I just showed you inside these tanks and filters, that is one teardown. I have done dozens, and the full breakdown is inside what I am calling the bilge files. 6 guides. The pre-purchase inspection checklist with 47 points that separate a good boat from a money pit. The $50 fix Bible. 15 repair shops charge $300 to $800 for that cost under $50 in your driveway. The outboard blacklist and buy list based on what I have physically seen inside these engines. Plus dealer playbooks, hull quality rankings, and an electronic survival guide. No sponsors, no fluff. $19.99 for the whole vault. One bad purchase costs you tens of thousands. Link is in the description. Alright, so here's where things get political, because this problem was not an accident. It was legislated into existence. The Energy Policy Act of 2005 created the Renewable Fuel Standard, mandating 4 billion gallons of biofuel blended into the national gasoline supply. The Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007 expanded that to 36 billion gallons by 2022. The EPA's proposed 2026 rule sets the highest blending obligation ever at 24 billion gallons. All of this was driven by corn lobby politics, not engine science. E15 entered the market through 2 EPA waivers in 2010 and 2011 that approved it for cars and light trucks. Model year 2001 and newer. Both waivers explicitly excluded marine engines, motorcycles, and all non-road equipment. Federal law under 40 CFR 80.1504 makes it illegal to put E15 in a boat. The EPA-mandated pump label says so in orange and black text. And if that were the only problem, boaters might have been fine. But then the push for year-round E15 sales began. The Trump administration approved it in June 2019. The D.C. Circuit Court struck it down in July 2021, with the National Marine Manufacturers Association as a plaintiff. Emergency summer waivers followed in 2022, 2023, and 2024. By February 2024, EPA approved year-round E15 in 8 Midwest states. By late 2025, year-round E15 became available nationwide. A Boat US survey found that only 18% of consumers consider the E15 pump label effective, and 60% of Americans mistakenly assume any gasoline sold at a retail pump is safe for any engine. 95% of recreational boats are fueled at roadside gas stations. The misfueling risk is enormous and growing every season. The Department of Energy hired Mercury Marine to run controlled testing on marine engines using E15 fuel. A 300-horsepower Verado 4-stroke cracked and broke 3 exhaust valves, ending the test early. A 200-horsepower EFI 2-stroke suffered connecting. Rod-bearing failure that destroyed the engine completely. A 9.9-horsepower 4-stroke developed fuel pump gasket deterioration and chronic misfire. Every single major outboard manufacturer says the same thing. Mercury Service Bulletin 2006-1 OR1 states that fuel above 10% ethanol may cause severe engine damage and voids the warranty. Yamaha Bulletin 02006-009 says E15 and E85 should never be used in any Yamaha outboard. Suzuki's dealer guidance is blunt. Never use E15 or E85 in your Suzuki outboard. That is not a suggestion, it is a rule. Honda's warranty explicitly excludes fuel system damage from deteriorated fuel. People thought they had the full picture with the tank and engine damage. They were wrong. Mercury also identified a specific fuel line failure that affected millions of boats. Any gray fuel hose with red or orange printing on it was manufactured before EPA low permeation requirements took effect in January 2011. Ethanol causes the inner liner of these older hoses to delaminate, restricting fuel flow and shedding rubber particles into the fuel system. The replacement specification is Mercury's EPA-approved line, gray with blueprint, rated B1-15 with a fluoroplastic barrier layer. Quality barrier-lined marine fuel hose from Trident or Shields runs $5 to $7 per foot at retail. Total fuel line replacement on a single-engine boat costs $400 to $750 professionally, or about $100 to $300 in materials if you do it yourself. Now let's talk about the products that claim to fix all of this, because this is where the marketing gets thick. Practical Sailor, the most independent testing source in the marine industry, ran multi-year studies on fuel stabilizers from 2008 through 2015 and beyond. Their conclusion was clear and consistent. The 2 best products for marine use are BioBore EB by Hammond's Fuel Additives and sta-bil 360 Marine by Gold Eagle. Both earned their highest recommendation. BioBore EB has been Practical Sailor's top pick for over a decade, delivering 2.5 times the EPA-required detergent level and top-tier corrosion protection in standardized NACE testing. A 16-ounce bottle costs $12 to $18. Startron Enzyme Fuel Treatment is the best-selling marine fuel additive in America, and its performance was, quote, inconsistent on aluminum in Practical Sailor's corrosion testing. Its safety data sheet shows the formula is roughly 95% naphtha solvent with only 0.5% proprietary enzyme. It works as a cleaner, and it is cost-effective at about 7 cents per gallon treated, but it is not the best corrosion protector on the shelf. Seafoam Marine Pro earned Practical Sailor's budget buy rating. Excellent as a cleaner, but significantly more expensive per gallon, treated at nearly 50 cents per gallon versus 7 to 11 cents for Startron or sta-bil. And you need to know this. No stabilizer, regardless of what the bottle says, prevents phase separation. None. Zero. The only defenses against phase separation are keeping the tank full to minimize condensation airspace, using fresh fuel within 90 days, and running ethanol-free fuel when you can find it. Speaking of ethanol-free fuel, marina fuel is not automatically ethanol-free, and assuming it is, can cost you. Many marinas sell standard E10 with a marine additive package. Others sell genuine ethanol-free fuel, branded as REC90. The only way to know for sure is to ask, check the pump label, or carry a reusable ethanol test kit that costs about $12 on Amazon. Pure-gas.org lists over 12,000 stations selling ethanol-free fuel across the U.S., though only about 1,000 are marinas. The price premium is real. Expect to pay 50 cents to $1.50 more per gallon for ethanol-free. On a 100-gallon fill-up, that is $50 to $150 extra. Expensive, yes. Cheaper than a $9,000 fuel system rebuild, absolutely. The total cost of a complete ethanol-induced fuel system failure on a typical 22 to 26-foot center console with a single outboard ranges from $4,500 to over $13,000. Twin-engine boats hit $10,000 to $35,000. One documented case involved a 1992 Mediterranean 38-footer, where the owner spent $35,000 replacing dissolved fiberglass tanks and repairing twin 454 Crusader engines. And standard marine insurance will not pay a dime. Fuel system corrosion falls under wear, tear, and maintenance exclusions. Misfueling with E15 is classified as negligence. Also not covered. If you're wondering how that's even legal, so is everyone else. A 2016 boating industry survey found 87% of marine industry professionals reported seeing engine damage caused by ethanol, and over 15% estimated that more than half of all repairs they perform are ethanol-related. Class action lawsuits have been filed against BP, Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Shell, alleging they knew ethanol would dissolve fiberglass tanks and failed to warn consumers. A Florida case survived the oil company's motion to dismiss. The real question is not whether ethanol is damaging your boat. The science settled that years ago. The real question is why the renewable fuel standard keeps increasing blending volumes when every outboard manufacturer, the National Marine Manufacturers Association, Boat US, the Department of Energy's own testing, and 87% of marine industry professionals all agree the fuel is destroying boats. As of 2026, the EPA's proposed blending mandate sits at 24 billion gallons, the highest ever. Year-round E15 is available nationwide, and no marine engine manufacturer has certified a single outboard for anything above E10. This story is not over, not even close. If you own a boat, here is your checklist. Install a 10-micron Raker fuel water separator with a clear inspection bowl, $80 for the complete assembly. Change the filter element every 100 hours. Replace any fuel line with red or orange printing, all of it, with B1-15 rated barrier hose. Add Biobor, EB, or sta-bil 360 marine at every single fill-up, not just winterization. Keep your tank full when the boat sits. Never use fuel older than 90 days. And verify every fill-up is not E15. A $12 test kit is cheap insurance against a repair bill that could exceed the value of your boat. If you've made it to the end, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.